Let's wait for the stream to fire up all across the fruited plain of the internet before we go ahead and get started. We've got some serious business to attend to, two topics, and we are just on the precipice of what a lot of Democrats have been waiting for. But we can't get into it until we can confirm the stream is working. It looks like it is. That's tremendous news. That means we can go ahead and get started. So let's do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney broadcasting from the Valley of the Sun, deep in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. And today we are talking about tomorrow. A lot of people on the left, on the blue team, have been very excited about a possible indictment of the former president, Donald Trump, and they very well may get their wish tomorrow. We're going to update ourselves on the latest. Of course, this is taking place out of New York. We're going to get some updates from the Daily Mail. They're telling us they've got an exclusive. They say he's not going to be arrested tomorrow. And remember, Trump was saying he might be arrested today, and that didn't happen, obviously. So they're saying he'll be indicted tomorrow because the grand jury will be wrapping up, and then Trump will actually be arrested next week. We'll keep our eyes on all of that. But in New York, they're preparing, setting up barricades. We're going to listen to some reaction from Rand Paul, what he thinks should be done about this. There's apparently a bomb threat that was called in to a New York court. We'll talk about that. And Adam Kinzinger is saying, oh gosh, he's having flashbacks. He's waking up in cold sweats about J6. Now, the House is going to be doing something about this. You know, Jim Jordan, Republican representative, they sent a letter over to Alvin Bragg, the prosecutor, so-called, who is taking this case up against Trump, demanding some answers from him, wondering what he's doing, why he's prosecuting this when everybody else has declined it. We'll also see that MSNBC is concerned about this. They're saying that this is very dangerous, that the Congress is inquiring. We'll check in with other Congress members, Elise Stefanik and Byron Donalds, who weighed in on this, calling this absolutely egregious. We have some Alina Habba on the channel today, which we always enjoy. And so we've got two clips from her. We enjoy it because she's so intelligent, very astute commentator. That's all. She is here. She was speaking outside of the court. People were asking her, hey, how's Trump feel about this on the day before he gets indicted? The day before this historic event takes place. How's he doing? So we'll listen to her. We also have another comment from her talking about double standards in our justice system, wondering why Trump is under the Inquisition and other people are not. Now, Trump did comment on some of this stuff over on CPAC when he was speaking there. We'll listen to some of that. And that'll all be in the first segment as well. So we'll go through the latest on the Trump. Now, we'll turn our attention after that is over. Of course, Trump will be indicted, and very likely, and we've long speculated this was just a foregone conclusion because they kind of painted themselves into a corner on this thing. But there is another trial with other people who have been indicted, and we've been following this one along as well. So the defense went into day 2. We're going to get up to speed on what's happening in the Proud Boys trial. We'll check in with the witness today. And it was actually kind of a short trial day. Day 41, Eddie Block, who stopped by the show. I believe that was on Sunday, I think Eddie Block stopped by. And he's on YouTube at Eddie Block Films, but he was there. And good news, so was his service dog. And so that, of course, is all coming up. We'll check in on a couple recent filings as well, just to see what is happening there. But my friends, that is what we have coming up in store for the show today. And so if you want to be a part of the program, the best place to do that is by going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com, which is where our community is. If you join on YouTube or on Locals, you also get access to our private Telegram group. We do member-only streams. We do one almost every single morning. And so come and check it out if you want to have a little bit more of a deeper community and a closer connection to some of the things that we talk about. Now, I wanted to pause briefly. Somebody was saying that Rumble was not working, which is not good. Is it working over there? Oh, great. I was having some Rumble problems today. I had to reschedule on Rumble a few times because it was not scheduling. So darn it. Doesn't look like I got it working. And I don't think there's any way to fix that. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can do this. just while we're here, we're just going to try this and see if this will get us going on Rumble. All right. Well, we'll see. Hope maybe that'll work. We'll see. We don't know. But if you're over on Rumble and it's not working, we apologize. I tried to get it to work. Anyways, so that's what's coming up. Check us out, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We're also shouting out our sponsors of the program today, our friends over at fieldofgreens.com. Now, we'll talk about them a little bit later, but fieldofgreens.com is a great place where you can go get your daily servings of your fruits and vegetables. It's great to be healthy. They want to be eaten. The vegetables love it. My mom even got some. And it's been very enjoyable for me to tell my mother, eat your vegetables, mom. You know, the son telling her mom is kind of like the old switcheroo, the reversal here. So enjoy it. Young boys and girls out there, tell your parents, eat your vegetables. Go to fieldofgreens.com and save 15% with code Robert. And so without any further ado, my friends, let's jump right into it. We'll have to say and see what's going on with Trump and the current indictment as we're queued up. And let me just check on Rumble. Is it working yet? It is working. Hey, good. We got it fixed. Great. All right. So let's get into it. Trump indictment coming soon. We're going to get the latest on what is happening out of New York. They're telling us at the Daily Mail that it's not going to be an arrest soon. It's going to be the indictment first, which is what you would expect. And then there's going to be a lot of coordinating between the government, in this case, the local prosecutors, and the Secret Service, because Trump, of course, is a former president. He got Secret Service protection for the rest of his life. And they don't want New York law enforcement officials to come raid his residence. Secret Service may not be too happy about that. So they're going to coordinate it. But the Daily Mail has the exclusive. They're telling us what is happening according to one of their sources. Exclusive. Trump will not be arraigned this week. So he can be indicted. And we've covered a lot of indictments here. And oftentimes the indictments will involve the indictment, right? And then we see it's sealed and everything is a warrant executed. Then they go and they arrest the person who is the subject of the indictment. And then they bring the person into custody. And then they unseal the indictment. And then we see it all on public display. But this is a little bit different. Trump has Secret Service protection and he's going to know all about this, presumably. So what is happening? The indictment will come. Trump's obviously not going to be fleeing the country or anything to avoid this indictment. And so they'll coordinate with the Secret Service. Former president is going to be indicted tomorrow. Secret Service will make plans for the self-surrender and the appearance in New York next week. And now I thought this is what they were talking about this week. In other words, today, when Trump said that I was going to be arrested on Tuesday, I thought this was that deal. You know, they had worked this all together and this is what they had concluded. And this came out from a source familiar with the proceedings. Won't be indicted, will likely be indicted on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, but won't appear before a judge until next week. A source familiar with the proceedings told the Daily Mail there will be no arraignment this week. In the arraignment, you would need the president to be there. You go get him, bring him into custody, and then you would present him in front of the judge. Former president's currently in Florida, expected to formally be charged tomorrow, after which time the DA's office will reach out to Trump and his Secret Service detail to make arrangements for his surrender. So all of that will be going on. There are a couple people there, 2 people, I guess, protesting outside of Trump Tower. Here's another 2 people on the other side. All right. So you see, that's what's going on over there. Now, some people are very upset about this, yours truly included. I think it's an egregious overstep, and I'm not sure there's any coming back from this once this happens. And we've seen historically how a lot of other people have escaped criminality. Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama. We're looking at Joe Biden in this case. And we're asking ourselves why the double standards. Hillary Clinton had presumably thousands of emails gone, deleted, and the FBI was twisting itself into a pretzel not to charge her. There were some serious concerns here, and everybody just kind of said, well, we're just not going to prosecute political opponents in this country. And that was the default. That was the standard. But that wasn't talking about Donald Trump. And people in this country, a huge portion of them on the left in the blue team, they have this TDS, man. They cannot let it go. And there's been a concern that I've had this entire time that the Democrats were going to paint themselves into a corner on this. If they're constantly telling us that January 6th was the biggest attack on American democracy since the Civil War, and that Trump is, just this close of Hitler and he's a MAGA extremist and all of these things, they have to take action on that, right? They can't just sit around and talk about all that stuff. Otherwise, people will think that they're talking and talking and talking, and their talk is cheap. So they have to do this. And now here we are. But once this happens, now what does that mean? The floodgates are open. And when the Republicans are in charge, we have to start prosecuting the Democrats? Seems only fair. So some people say this is outrageous and insane. Rand Paul is one of them, and he wasn't mincing words about this today. Posted this bright and early. Says a Trump indictment would be a disgusting abuse of power. The DA should be put in jail, period. Rand Paul. Yeah, nice comment. It is a disgusting abuse of power. It's an insane political prosecution that's never happened before. And he's just going to jump into this haphazardly over a Stormy Daniels issue that involves a star witness called Michael Cohen, who is a convicted liar, literally. Seems like it is not appropriate for a democracy, as they always say. But here we are. Rand Paul says he should be in jail. We'll see if that happens. And the Republicans maybe may take over. Maybe the silver lining in this is that the country reorients itself and says, all right, enough of this crap. We are not going to take it anymore. And that is talking about peaceful, democratic involvement with voices and organization and with fundraising. And there is a response so powerful that it eviscerates politically the other side of the aisle. Now, in New York, they're turning this into a big spectacle as usual. You see there's some officers from the NYPD who are putting out bike racks in New York City. Setting up the bike racks. Which really, those shouldn't even be a big deal for the FBI agents. I mean, they should just be able to basically just leap right over those. All of the CHSs and all of the other feds just kind of hurdle right over it. Just, right over it, right? And then, we're insurrecting the court building. Hey! Then they go arrest a bunch of Trumpers. So that is one scene. There's another scene out where the media is also posted up. Everybody is just salivating, waiting for what happens next. You see police moving barricades around in the background as well. Cameras here front and center. Everybody's bracing for impact, and we haven't seen much by way of protest, and we'll see if anything materializes now that we're getting some more details on this. But something interesting happened. Evidently, there was a bomb threat that got called in, and Bloomberg reported this. Let's see, am I logged in here? Perfect. Bloomberg reports, says bomb threat was called into a New York court where a Trump hearing was held. Hopefully they had caller ID. It might have come from J. Edgar Hoover building. Somebody better check that. Is that Christopher Wray's cell phone again? Somebody where's Christopher? Somebody find him. Patricia Hurtado wrote this, says a bomb threat was called in. Okay. As the judge in lower court Manhattan was just about to start a hearing over a $250 million lawsuit by Tishy Letitia, the Tishiest of all Tishies, James, against Donald Trump. Now, there was a 911 call that's being investigated. Was that Liz Cheney? Where's Liz Cheney at? Is she back in Wyoming? Somebody check her burner phones. The courthouse is at 60 Center Street, temporarily closed and searched. The threat was deemed unfounded. You're kidding. So the building featured in the opening of Law and Order is where state civil cases are heard. Letitia Tishy James sued Trump and his company and his 3 children in September. New York PD, the police said that in a statement, it had increased uniformed presence throughout the city. And we heard previously from Mayor Adams saying that they were going to be monitoring your social media to make sure you're not an insurrectionist. But it remained ready to respond to protests and counter protests. Now, law enforcement is on alert as the state grand jury in a separate criminal investigation it examines the payments that Trump paid, and Trump told protesters to protest and take our nation back, which is triggering the blue team all over this country, man. They are so upset about that. He said protest. They're very upset. So that's what Bloomberg is telling us. So FBI, who knows what they were doing. You know who it might have been who made that phone call? It's probably that guy from January 6th who was going to blow up the RNC and the DNC. It's probably that guy. Maybe if they would have found him and focused on their Where's Waldo games against that guy instead of innocent grandmas doing tours around the Capitol, they would have found him and we wouldn't have had this bomb threat. So hopefully they find him. Again, he's probably hanging out with Christopher Wray. That's where my money is. Now, some people are very upset about this. As I told you, a lot of hysterics coming from the usual crowd. We have Adam Kinzinger. He's posting this on Twitter because Trump's lawyers are getting colorful in their language. Trump's lawyer said, if he's indicted, this is an all-out war. Uh-oh. Now we're getting into some interesting language. It's an all-out war, which I take to mean a political war, like a political blood sport. Like we've said those phrases. And by the way, the Democrats have said this all the time. And we've played clips of them on this channel. We've got 11-minute montages of them. You have Maxine Waters in there. It's like, grab them by the throat and rip their guts out or something. She didn't say that verbatim, but more or less that's what she sounded like. And so, this is the kind of language that you hear regularly from the left. But when Trump's team says it, they all have a meltdown. Oh, gosh. So here Adam says, do not become numb to this. The lawyer for the former president is talking about an all-out war. Insanity. That's an article over from The Hill. So he's very upset about that. Now, just so we're extra clear on this, right? I don't endorse violence, never have on this channel. And I want everybody to be peaceful and happy and well, living a fruitful life. I also encourage people to be involved politically and to not be dissuaded and to not be dejected and demoralized by all of this stuff. And so it is going to require some extra attention, some elevated involvement. And that's what I hear when I listen to those things. So that is from Adam Kinzinger, but he's very sensitive about most things. So you just got to take his language with a grain of salt. But other people in Congress who are still in Congress. Adam Kinzinger is no longer there. Womp womp. But Jim Jordan is there, and he's in charge, in fact, of a lot of different areas of the House, including the Judiciary Committee. And they sent a letter over to Alvin Bragg, the DA from New York, who is spearheading this entire ridiculous saga. So we're going to go through that letter. It's about 4 pages that he sent over from the House committees to the New York offices. We'll read through that, but let's listen to Jim Jordan explain what this is all about in the first place.
Tell me about this letter and what you're seeking.
Well, yeah, this letter comes at the direction of the Speaker for the House Administration Committee, the House Oversight Committee, Chairman Comer, Chairman Stile, and then Judiciary Committee. And we've sent this letter to Mr. Bragg saying, we want to talk to you. We want to know what's going on here. We want to see the communications that have taken place between the Federal Justice Department and your district attorney's office there in Manhattan. Because understand, Harris, first they went after President Trump on Russia. Then it was a phone call with Zelensky. Then they wanted his tax return. Then they go after his business records. Then they go after his children. And now it's some misdemeanor alleged bookkeeping error that they're going to. And this is from the prosecutor who initially didn't want to do this. In fact, he had people resign because he wasn't going to do this because no one else will bring this case. I mean, the DOJ didn't bring the case. The Federal District of New York didn't bring the case. The previous prosecutor in the district there in Manhattan didn't bring the case. Mr. Bragg himself didn't want to bring the case, but then he got pressured, I think, from the left. And I would say this, the one thing that has changed, the one thing that I think has changed his mind is President Trump announced he was going to run for president again. And suddenly here they go. Now they're coming after him for some alleged bookkeeping error. You've got to be kidding me. So we want to know what kind of federal involvement may have taken place here. And we
Okay.
want to know, did this stem from the Mueller special counsel investigation getting to this point as well?
Awesome. So the Republicans are back in charge and they're actually taking action, which is very good news. Speaking of the letter, let's take a look at some of the details on this thing. Did I pull this up? I did. March 20th, 2023, the letter from Congress and Jim Jordan in the Judiciary Committee is directed to Mr. Alvin Bragg, District Attorney from the state of New York. He says, "Dear Mr. Bragg, you are reportedly about to engage in an unprecedented abuse of prosecutorial authority, namely the indictment of a former president of the United States and a current declared candidate for that office. This indictment comes after years of your office searching for a basis, any basis, on which to bring charges, ultimately settling on a novel legal theory untested anywhere in the country, and one that federal authorities even declined to pursue." Jordan says, "If these reports are accurate, your actions will erode confidence in the even-handed application of justice and unalterably interfere in the course of the 2024 presidential election." Election interference by Alvin Bragg. Trump has already declared. So in light of the serious consequence of your actions, we expect that you, Alvin, will testify about what plainly appears to be a politically motivated prosecutorial decision. Says the New York County District Attorney's Office has been investigating President Trump since at least 2018, looking for some legal theory on which to bring charges. The facts surrounding the impending indictment have, quote, been known for years. Michael Cohen, President Trump's disgraced former lawyer, pleaded guilty over 4 years ago to charges based on the same facts at issue in the impending indictment. By July 2019, however, federal prosecutors determined that no additional people would be charged alongside Cohen. Now, in the words of one legal scholar, you are attempting to shoehorn the same case with identical facts into a new prosecution, resurrecting a so-called zombie case against President Trump. Even the Washington Post quoted, quote, legal expert as calling your actions unusual because prosecutors have repeatedly examined the long-established details but decided not to pursue the charges. Jordan says, Alvin, the legal theory underlying your reported prosecution appears to be tenuous and untested. Bringing charges for falsifying business records is ordinarily a misdemeanor subject to a 2-year statute of limitations. And that expired long ago. State law, however, allows a district attorney to, quote, elevate nominal misdemeanor conduct to a felony charge if the, quote, intent to defraud includes an intent to commit another crime or to conceal the commission thereof. So it's a little bit of an aggravating factor. In a DUI, you can have a DUI alone by yourself. It's just a regular old DUI. You're over the limit driving down the road. If you have an aggravating factor, like having a child in the car, that will take your misdemeanor DUI from a lower level into a felony DUI because you've got an aggravating factor. Here, the law provides for something very similar. An aggravating factor. Oh, it was intent to commit another crime, to do it again, which will take it out of misdemeanor level into felony world, and it will extend the 2-year statute of limitations, which already would have expired, into a lot longer, whatever it is. It's probably, 7, 8, 10 years, whatever it is. Such a showing would extend the statute of limitations to 5 years. There it is, which would likely expire soon and thus explains your rush to indictment. The only potential speculated crime that could be alleged here would be a violation of campaign finance law, and according to one scholar, a charge the Justice Department has already declined to bring. In addition to the novel and untested legal theory coming out of your office, Alvin, your star witness for this prosecution has a serious credibility problem, a problem you've reportedly recognized. This case relies heavily on the testimony of Michael Cohen, a convicted perjurer with a demonstrable prejudice against President Trump. Cohen pleaded guilty to lying to Congress in 2018. In 2019, when he testified before Democrats on the Oversight Committee to aid their fruitless investigation into President Trump, Cohen lied again 6 times. He's their star witness. He lied to the Democrats in 2018. Cohen has been vocal about his deeply personal animus towards President Trump. And under these circumstances, there is no scenario in which Cohen could fairly be considered to be an unbiased and credible witness. It's nuts. Jordan continues, he says, the inference from the totality of these facts is that your impending indictment, Alvin, is motivated by political calculations. In January of 2022, soon after you took office, you expressed doubts about President Trump's case, and you even suspended the investigation. This decision then caused 2 of your top prosecutors, your investigators, Carrie Dunn and Mark Pomerantz, which we talked about here, to resign in protest and publicly denounce your work. Those 2 guys threw a temper tantrum because this new attorney who just got elected said that he was going to kind of continue on the prior work of the outgoing attorney. And then he got in and sort of didn't. And then his attorney, these other guys, that's our whole reason for existing, is to prosecute Trump. And so they threw a temper tantrum and left. Pomerantz heavily criticized you for declining to bring charges. They wrote a letter. I'm pretty sure we read that here. And now Dunn and others are, quote, weighing ways to bar President Trump from holding future office. They just wake up all day thinking about this man. It's weird. Pomerantz has published a book in the past month excoriating you for not aggressively prosecuting Trump. The Washington Post reported that you were deeply stung by this criticism because all these people care about is their cocktail parties. Oh man, they didn't think I was hard enough on Trump and they're not going to like me anymore. I better reopen the investigation and turn my career into something meaningful. The facts of this matter, says Jordan, have not changed since 2018. No new witnesses have emerged. The Justice Department examined the facts in 2019, and they opted not to pursue further prosecutions at that time. Even still, according to the reporting, the investigation, quote, gained some momentum this year. Interesting. And your office convened a new grand jury in January to elevate and evaluate the issue. The only intervening factor, the only thing that changed, it appears, was President Trump announced that he would be a candidate in 2024. So that's weird. Why would that one decision cause you to change your prosecution? Because it's political. Jordan says your decision to pursue such a politically motivated prosecution while adopting progressive criminal justice policies that allow your career criminals to run the streets of Manhattan requires congressional scrutiny about how public safety and those funds are appropriated by Congress and how they're implemented by law enforcement. Additionally, your apparent decision to pursue criminal charges where federal authorities have already declined to do so requires oversight. Why? To inform potential legislative reforms about the delineation of prosecutorial authority between federal and local officials. And finally, because the circumstances of this matter stem in part from Robert Mueller's investigation, Congress may also consider legislative reforms and how special counsels and their prosecutors work. And so, as you can see, Congress is saying, we have a very, very valid legislative purpose for doing all of this, which is great. And we were expecting this to happen. When the Democrats were doing this and saying, we're in charge of Congress, we can do whatever the heck we want because we're Congress, we said the Republicans are going to do it too. They better enjoy it. Now the Republicans are following the pendulum as it swings the other way. So, New York prosecutor Alvin, we want the following from your office. All documents that came from you to any of your U.S. DOJ components, anybody in Merrick Garland's little cabal of prosecutors. Who are you talking to? We want all documents and communications that you sent to your former employees, these guys, Carrie and Mark, who are criticizing you, and they really hurt your feelings. We want to know why. We want all documents and communications about the use of federal funds in your office from the county district attorney's office, and so cut off their money. In addition, your testimony, Alvin, is necessary to advance our oversight and to inform potential legislative reforms. We therefore ask that you come in here and testify in a transcribed interview about these matters as soon as possible. Please provide this information and contact our committee no later than March 23rd. The rules of the House say that we have the authority to investigate any matter at any time. Same exact language that Liz Cheney and Fishing Benny Thompson were shoving down our gullets not too long ago. Signed by Jim Jordan, Brian Stale, and James Comer from the U.S. House of Representatives. Love that. We're going to see how that lands and what Alvin Bragg has to say about it, because we already know that some people are having a meltdown over this. One of those people is called this guy. On MSNBC, they're very petrified about Congress sending letters. What's curious, though, is I don't remember them being too concerned about it when Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger or Fishing Benny Thompson were sending their letters to private citizens demanding all of their private cell phone records and all of their emails and all of the other things. So it's only when one side of Congress does it that it becomes a dangerous precedent. Let's listen to this guy.
Well, I think, Jonathan, this is a very dangerous development where you have the Speaker of the House openly calling for congressional committees to be used as really an obstruction of justice vehicle for Donald Trump. And we've seen to this point almost every activity conducted by the Judiciary Oversight and the so-called Weaponization Committee has been to go after the president, the former president's political adversaries, the current president and his family. And so now they're going to take it to another level to meddle with the district attorney in Manhattan's investigation. So they're going to start targeting the people who are conducting that investigation. They're going to go after the attorneys. They're going to go after what evidence they have. They're going to go after, heck, it wouldn't surprise me if they try to find out who's actually on this grand jury and to go after them and to do deep oppo research on anyone that's a part of this process to try to undermine this case. And it's a flagrant.
What? That wasn't in the letter at all. Nobody's asking for information on the grand jurors. That is a straw man. That is a ridiculous thing. Nobody's asking for that at all. Oppo research for the grand jurors? What are you, nuts? He's going to get indicted. And he'll show up and he'll go through the process. And they're going to try to challenge the indictment by getting information about the grand jurors or something like that. This guy's just making up stuff. It's not that big of a deal. He knows his side has done this many times. Truthfully, I would love it if we didn't have our Congress sending our states any letters. I would love the federal government just to stay the hell out of all of our businesses. But, you know, in this case, if the federal government is going to come put the strong arm and their boots on the necks for the blue team, then the red team should be doing the same thing, except the red team now just goes and, you know, takes it out on their team. This is how it goes. This is the new politics. And this is what the Democrats started a long time ago. We were concerned about it. Now, this guy, you know, he's trying to find a reason why it's so dangerous, but he's, I think, way off the mark. This is what some other Republicans are communicating about. Representative Elise Stefanik is from New York's 21st district, and she says that Alvin Bragg is doing a terrible job. In fact, why is he spending so much time focusing on Donald Trump when the rest of the state seems to be in disorder?
I think Alvin Bragg in particular is the most radical DA you can ultimately get to. George Soros funded him over $1 million, and we have this significant crime crisis in New York State. It's one of the reasons why we picked up 4 congressional seats. So at the same time as you have him politically targeting and persecuting President Trump, he's lowering felonies and misdemeanors, which has been one of the reasons why crime has skyrocketed in New York City. We announced under Chairman Jordan's leadership with Chairman Jamie Comer and Chairman Brian Stile, who have jurisdiction, that we expect and intend to call Alvin Bragg to testify.
He probably won't come, right?
Well, we are going to work very hard, and the American people deserve to have him come and appear, and we want to have access to any documentation between the Department of Justice and the Manhattan DA's office. In addition, there have been numerous members of Alvin Bragg's team who have left in very prominent fashion over the past few years, who have been focused solely at going after President Trump. And the other piece I would note here is, as much as I have been critical of the mainstream media in years past that many of you know, even the Washington Post has pointed out that this is a zombie case that the Department of Justice passed upon, the Southern District of New York passed upon, and yet now you have the most radical DA imaginable going after President Trump and doing the bidding of Joe Biden.
Great comment from Elise Stefanik, and she, I think, hits all the major points. And she's not alone. We've got Byron Donalds, another representative, who says this is egregious. Now, again, they're all freaked out about Trump's response to the actual indictment. It's bizarre. It's actually not bizarre. We can understand why they are doing this. They don't want to talk about the precedent-shattering, egregious smelling political prosecution that their side is involved in. They would rather just talk about Trump's response to what they've done. But Byron Donald and many others are taking this back to the precedent and talking about how horrible the Department of Justice is for even contemplating going down this road.
There are protests. Do you think that they should be peaceful?
Of course. And I think that, of course, every protest should be peaceful. We've never argued for anything different than that. I think if there are Americans who choose to protest, they should do it peacefully. But let's be very clear. What Alvin Bragg and his office is attempting to do is use essentially an investigation that the DOJ looked at, the FEC looked at. They did not bring charges. They said there's nothing really to do with this. They moved on. And he's trying to quote legal experts, shoehorn some legal theory to go get Trump. That's the essence of political prosecution.
They've been working on this for a long time. We've talked about Letitia Tishy James and others. Georgia has their own investigation. Jack Smith from the federal government, they've got their investigation going with the special counsel. And there's so much invested in this. What would it look like if they just turned around and didn't indict Trump? They would look even weaker than we already know them to be. So they're getting very close to it. Alina Habba was outside of court. We are going to listen to her. She also was on the news talking about other people who have not been prosecuted in this very two-tiered system of justice. And so Alina is coming right up soon as we talk about our friends over at fieldofgreens.com, because we would all like to lose some of those leftover pandemic pounds. But, you know, how sick are you of all those ads for weight loss pills and fad diets? We've all been there. We've all done that, and we know they don't work. But you know what does? Eating 5 healthy servings of fruits and vegetables every day. You do that, and the weight probably just falls right off. But look, vegetables, not a fan, and fruit, who's got time to prepare that all day, every day? Instead, let's talk about Field of Greens. Now, Field of Greens is a science-backed formula, very specific fruits and vegetables that you won't find in any other product. Proper nutrition reboots your metabolism so you can burn calories faster and lose weight a healthier way. And Field of Greens is the only brand backed by a better health promise. Yes, you're going to look healthier and feel healthier, but the greater proof is going to come at your next checkup when your doctor says, wow, you've lost weight. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. And so let's get you over to fieldofgreens.com. Don't forget to use code Robert when you check out so you can save that 15%. And don't forget, the vegetables, they want to be eaten. They want to nutrify your body. And so make sure you go get them from our friends at fieldofgreens.com with code Robert at checkout. And so let's turn our attention back over to Trump's lawyer, Alina Habba, was outside of the court building in Manhattan, where Trump is expected to be indicted very soon. And here's what she said when asked about how Trump is doing. How is he feeling about this entire ordeal? Alina Habba.
Former President Trump and possibly future President Trump has been completely unfairly treated. This is a politicization of our justice system. And I think it's a frightening time for our country, frankly. If Michael Cohen is a key witness, as we're hearing, if they're getting debunked testimony from other people, this is speaking for itself. And I hope that everybody's eyes are open. It would be a very, very grave mistake for them to indict President Trump.
You talk to Mr. Trump every day, maybe multiple times a day. How does he feel? What is he telling you about the DA's case?
I think this is another day for the president, and I think that's the important thing to take away from this. This is something that has been happening since he walked down the escalator at Trump Tower in 2015, 2016, when he was running and won.
I think that is a great point, and one that is going to be amplified as this indictment unfolds. So every single time that Trump said this is a witch hunt, every single time he said that they're after me, they're coming after me, and I'm in the way so that they don't come get you, right? All of those complaints ever since 2016. And many of those were thrown away. A lot of people sort of forgot about the Russia collusion hoax, how they tried to set him up on that. Every one of these investigations was really much ado about nothing. They all turned into almost nothing. And when this is the big climax of their 8 years, 7 years, 6 years of constant investigation and caterwauling at every turn about what a monster he is. This is what they get him on an old settlement agreement with one of the worst witnesses in the country. That's it. That's what they're going to sing about and be excited about. Not January 6th, not Russia, not anything involving any, racist behavior or anything like that. Any of these fake hoaxes about. It's about a payoff from before he was even president. What? It's going to confirm that all of his complaints are true. He's been dead on about everything. And the fact that this is another day for him is not a good thing. I think it supports his entire history of trying to articulate that he's been in this position. And a lot of people have been dismissive about that, but shouldn't be dismissive about this one. And if he's right about this, I know this as a defense attorney, they can charge anybody for any crime. It's just a lot of the time a matter of luck, how some people get charged and other people don't. Happen to be a cop there and not there. They can come up with a reason to charge anybody for anything. And in this case, Trump has been under that scrutiny his entire time in front of the public eye from a political operation known as the Democrats.
It is the way his life has turned, unfortunately, and he's given up a lot for this country. He had a great life before, I'll tell you that, and he's willing to continue to sacrifice, and I think that speaks volumes to his character and how much he loves this country.
Is he scared? Is he worried about this case?
No, he's not scared.
What is the state of mind?
He's
in terms
sad.
Of attention?
He's not scared. He's sad. And I would agree with that. I could sort of think that he would be sad that this is the state of affairs of this current country. I am sad, honestly. I didn't think that it was going to be something that would accelerate this quickly. We had a raid on his residence. After the raid, I thought, well, that's about it. They wouldn't cross that line if they weren't going to lead to an indictment. Here we are. But they're the ones crossing this threshold. We're going to wake up tomorrow and a former president in this country is going to be indicted by some hack prosecutor, literally from Alvin Bragg, who's got a history of partisan politics, who is doing a terrible job as a DA. He's going to focus all of his efforts on Trump. Why might that be? And what does this do for the pendulum that we have to sort of live under in America? We want a system of government that doesn't prosecute the people that we elect, because if we have that precedent set, the first person who's in charge gets control of the levers and they get to prosecute the entire oppositional party. I think this is it. The Democrats have decided this is their moment. They control the levers of power as best they can, and they're going to consolidate power. That's why this entire J6 operation has been ongoing for as long as it has. The speech from Biden, ultra mega MAGA extremists, the homegrown domestic violent extremism campaigns that have been set up by the DOJ and the FBI. It's all for this, and they're waiting for it, and here it is. So we have another clip from Alina asking about these two tiers of justice. Why do some people get politically prosecuted and others don't?
The truth is they're not spending money on crime victims. But I want to ask you about the fact that this case is relying on the testimony of a perjurer, of a liar, of a Trump hater, and that is Michael Cohen, by another Trump hater, Alvin Bragg, and by a whole series of people like Mark Pomerantz, the guy who wrote the book. I mean, will America tolerate this in the end if there is a trial?
I don't think so. I don't think they're going to tolerate if there's an indictment, frankly, Janine. I think that if you have anybody watching the news, both liberal and Republican news, you can see that we have balloons coming over from China. We've got Hunter Biden smoking crack, and he's not getting any penalty. If it was Eric Trump, we all know he'd be arrested in front of his children in 2 minutes. I don't think the world's going to tolerate it. And you can't be an anti-Trumper and just go into DA after DA, AG's offices, grand juries, 20 times, and think that people are going to find you credible or that that's going to give you any merit.
Alina, I think she's right about that there are double standards. It feels strange that Hunter Biden can literally be on the president's payroll, more or less, collecting money from all sorts of foreign sources. We've talked about that ad nauseum here. But nobody cares or bats an eye about any of that. Instead, it's about a Trump payment from 2015, 2016. Alina Habba in the House. Now, we've also got a clip from Trump. He was over at CPAC, and he was talking about some of this, communicating about it directly to the crowd. Here's what he had to say.
The racist Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, who is presiding over one of the most dangerous and violent cities in the United States. You have to see this, the United States, where killings are taking place at a number like nobody's ever seen, right in Manhattan. And he's doing nothing about it, nothing whatsoever. No cash bail for people that just kill people. Knife them in the back, hit them over the head with a baseball bat, push them into subways when the train is right there. But this racist DA is being pushed by radical left Democrats, the fake news media, and the Department of Injustice to bring charges against me for now ancient no affair story of Stormy Horseface Daniels. No attraction. No affair. I call it no affair. Where there's no crime anyway, and charges have never been brought in such a case before. And this case has been looked by every prosecutor. They're all looking. They looked at it for years now. She was represented by Michael Avenatti. How's he doing?
Not too good.
He's now in jail.
Not too good.
And the whole thing is a complete con job. And she was ordered to pay me, a federal court ordered this, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's right. She had to pay him
They're
back.
still looking at it. They're still looking. And all they do is they cause anger and problems for our country because our people aren't going to take this stuff.
Yeah, it's unacceptable for this type of thing to be happening in America. And it sounds like it may take place tomorrow out of New York City. And of course, we will be covering that in detail. So Donald Trump, we're waiting for an indictment or more news on it. Thank you for subscribing and following along as we do. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Now, Donald Trump has been in or is about to be indicted. We'll see. But other people are already indicted. And we're going to turn our attention now to Proud Boys trial, day 41. It's the second day of the defense case in chief. Of course, these charges coming out from January 6th. We're going to hear today from Eddie Block. He stopped by the show a couple days ago and jump into the trial thread from Roger Parloff. But first, let's take a quick look at the docket from Proud Boys trial, day 41, and see if there's anything new to attend to. We had a couple of motions that got filed, but the minute entry from yesterday says the following. Jury trial resumed. Same 12 jurors, 3 alternates were there yesterday. The government rested its case. Yesterday, we read through the oral arguments. All defendants made their motions for a judgment of acquittal. We heard those, but the judge has not issued a ruling on any of those things. Jury trial was continued to today this morning. All the defendants are still in custody. All the attorneys are back in session. And testimony yesterday began and ended. We concluded with Michael Graves and Travis Nugent. Those were the 2 witnesses that we talked about yesterday. Now, in the courtroom, we know Judge Kelly, and we've got all of the attorneys and the prosecutors. And so before we jump into the actual trial itself, I wanted to share with you this video from Eddie Block himself. Now, Eddie Block is going to be somebody who is testifying today, and he is on YouTube at Eddie Block Films. If you find his channel, you might want to subscribe if you take a look for it, and I'll drop it in the chat as he is speaking. But Eddie, remember, when you're a criminal defendant, you are basically alone. You may get a public defender if you can afford one, or if you can't afford one, they'll appoint you one. But you generally don't have a lot of resources. It's you, your attorney, versus the entire U.S. government. DOJ, FBI, billions of dollars, hundreds of attorneys in your division, thousands of support staff. You've got expert witnesses. You've got an endless amount of resources that you can use. You've got prosecutors. It's their full-time jobs. They've got, how many cases do they have in these J6 cases? It might be like 5 as far as I can tell. I don't know. All the time, all the resources, everything. So before the trial even starts, okay, it's not a fair fight at all. Just so we're clear about that. Every single defendant, every single defense attorney, everywhere in this country is at a disadvantage because they're going against a billion-dollar enterprise that's been around for a few hundred years. And they have total power, total authority. They get paid by the same taxpayers. It's all a one-sided David versus Goliath battle. Now, Eddie Block is one witness who has to make his way over to testify. And so I wanted to share his message with us here today. So let me cue this up and share this.
Everybody?
This is Eddie Oliver making his way to testify. We're going to hear from him in trial today.
What's up, everybody? Eddie here. Hold on, Donnie's got to get his attention in too, huh? How's everybody doing today? So yesterday I had to go and speak in front of a judge through Zoom up in Washington, D.C., and I am being forced to go to Washington, D.C. to testify during all these seditious trials they have going on. And so Donnie and I are going to go. Tahoe's going to go. I have to drive. Well, because of issues that I have being disabled, I can't, I can fly, but it makes it so hard on me that I don't want to fly. So because of this, the government is now saying, well, because Mr. Block wants to drive instead of fly, it costs more money. So we don't think they're going to, they say they're not going to pay. The judge says they might pay. Either way, I have to drive to Washington, D.C., and I have to be there by March 20th. So on Tuesday, Tahoe and I are leaving. We're going to drive across country with Donnie, and I'm going to go testify for these seditious hearings. I think another reason why the government doesn't want to pay is because I'm testifying for the defense. I'm not testifying for the prosecution.
No.
So with that being said, I hate doing this. Can you guys help out? I'm driving.
Yeah, like Donnie says he wants some help.
2,700 miles each way or something like that. It's going to be like over 5,000 miles we drive.
Donnie.
So it's going to get hotels, diesel, but here's what we're going to do.
So they're going to go and do a trip to go testify. This is Eddie Block. He is on YouTube. That's his very good boy, Donnie, who is along with him for the ride. And so if you'd like to go and support or follow Eddie Block, you can do that right here. Go over to his channel, Eddie Block Films, and he's got his Give, Send, Go right there in the description. And so I will drop that in all of the various chats. And so if you'd like to go and support him, you certainly can. He's going to be making his way out to testify. And that's the YouTube channel. If you'd like to go on over there, and I will pin that over on YouTube. Okay, so that's Eddie. Now we're going to hear him. He's going to testify here in a short minute, but I wanted to give you some good news as well, that his service dog is going to be allowed to testify with him. And as we're going to hear, Donnie is a disabled veteran, and that's why he's allowing his service dog to be there. The minute entry from the judge granting the witness to testify accompanied by his service dog. It is hereby ordered that defense witness Eddie Block shall be permitted to testify in this matter while accompanied by his service dog, signed by Timothy J. Kelly. So we're going to pick it up right there. We'll go over to our friend Roger Parloff. He has the trial thread for us, and let's get right into it. Day 41, Proud Boys trial. I'll be live tweeting here and on Lawfare. Yesterday, we heard from the musician and we heard from others. But now we fast forward and Judge Kelly is back on the bench. All rise. Please be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hope you had a nice night, a Monday night. We're back here. All right. Well, we've got a couple of outstanding issues that we need to attend to. Now, briefing is almost complete, says the judge, on this one issue that we're going to take a look at later. Remember, there were two debates going on. Pezzola, a Proud Boy defendant, filed a motion to dismiss, but there was also another motion that was filed by Zach Rehl's attorney, Carmen Hernandez. This was challenging the government snooping on their attorney-client privileged emails. So this is the one they're talking about. This has not been fully briefed yet. The defense filed their motion first. We got a response from the government, and then the defense gets to reply to the response. So they get the final piece of meat on the sandwich. So that's what we're talking about now. The judge says, all right, well, we're almost done briefing these things. There was one issue from Spreadsheet Gate, one relating to whether the Sixth Amendment rights were violated, and one about the motion for dismissal. The judge said, okay, on all of those issues, we'll just complete that tomorrow, and then we'll rule on after that. Everybody says, okay, that sounds fine. All right, anything else before we bring in the jury and get back to testimony? The defense, Nick Smith, who's representing Nordine, he says, yeah, Your Honor, remember yesterday when they were going to impeach my witness with the social media post? We spent a lot of time on that yesterday. He says, I would like to see in advance whatever they intend to use to impeach my upcoming witness, Eddie, the man we just heard from with his real good boy, Donnie. The government says, well, I mean, I'll give you our impeachment material, but only after you complete your direct exam, right? In other words, the government is not going to tell the defense what it intends to beat up the witness with. They say, we'll give it to you as soon as you're done. Then we'll let you know what we're going to go hammer him with. The judge says, that sounds fair. Are you okay with that? Smith was upset about what happened yesterday. The judge said also, we have this spreadsheet issue that we were talking about where the defense got their hands on a government document, a spreadsheet that had thousands of rows deleted. It came from what we call lying FBI agent Nicole Miller, who sent the spreadsheet over to the defense, hid a bunch of rows. And the judge has some questions about that. The judge says, okay, well, some of those 80 messages that the government deleted from the original spreadsheet were inadvertently marked as classified and sensitive. And the judge said, well, I was looking through some of the messages and I can't tell what is what. I don't know what's classified, what's sensitive, what's not classified, what's not sensitive. And so, government, can you please let me know what's going on here? Submit a separate filing under seal and then explain all of that to me. Judge says, okay, perfect. Anything else? No. Great. So let's take a break, says the judge. We're going to bring in Eddie Block. He's going to take the witness stand, and he's in a wheelchair. So we have some special accommodations that need to be done. We're going to put him on the witness stand. Then we're going to bring out his real good boy, Donnie, and his service dog will be with him. Then once he's in place, then we'll bring the jury back out. Parloff says Block is now in a regular witness chair. He was able to climb out of the wheelchair, and he has his dog with him. Roger says, the dog appears to be a beautiful St. Bernard whose head is currently visible above the witness's desk, though Block is trying to get her to lie down. You can keep her head up, his head up above over the podium. It's good for the jurors to see that. We're trying to humanize the Proud Boys, and bringing a very nice St. Bernard in with you is a good way to do that. So, Judge Kelly's back on the bench. The witness is on the stand. Nick Smith takes to the podium. He says, Your Honor, we officially call Mr. Eddie Block, who is now on the stand. Eddie, can you tell me a little bit about you? What do you do for a living? Eddie says, well, I'm disabled. I'm retired. And what do you do now? I do video and videography services. I'm a correspondent. I go around and I film events. I'm a filmmaker even. I've won awards. And I'm on YouTube at Eddie Block Films. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Did you have a background in this? He says, actually, yeah, I graduated December 2019 with a degree, media communications and journalism. Wow. And do you know my client, Ethan Nordine? Yeah, I know him, but I know him by the name Rufio. And you're a Proud Boy, is that true? Yeah. When did you become a Proud Boy? About 2019. And how far up in this organization did you go? I'm a 4th degree. Are you still a member of the Proud Boy? No. I stopped becoming a member after January 6th. Okay. But before January 6th, you were involved in this group? Yeah. Were you a part of any chats? Yeah, I was in multiple Telegram groups, both national and local. And did you go to DC on January 6th? Yeah. What made you decide to go there? Well, after Trump said that everyone needs to be there, I decided to come film it. And when you decided to come film it, did you want to go film inside the Capitol? He said, well, I don't remember anyone expressing intent to go inside the Capitol in any of the chat groups. And so you were there to film. Can you tell me about your filming on January 6th? He says, yeah, I was filming the whole time. I didn't start live streaming until afterwards, until we were told that we needed to make ourselves look good, kiss babies, and so on. I arrived at whatever date that was, sometime before January 6th. What were you there to do? Oh, just film stuff, shake hands, kiss babies, give hugs, high five, support America. Did you go by yourself? No, I had somebody called Jen. She came with me. And there were 2 other people, Eric and a woman came with Eric. And so tell me about the day of January 6th. He says, well, I started at 6 a.m. I was filming everyone. They were in lines at the Ellipse, not far from the Washington Monument. Says, I went to the Trump rally, so so full that I couldn't even get in much or get much. Some Proud Boys told me around 9:45 a.m. that there was going to be a Proud Boys meeting over at the Washington Monument at about 10 a.m. He says, okay, perfect. Let me stop you right there. Now, I want to show you some video footage. You hear this video playing? Do you recognize the voice in this video? He says, yeah, that's me. That's me saying it. Now, what are you doing in this video? Well, I wasn't live streaming yet. It was jovial. We were joking around. I don't think anybody knew what we were going to do around that time. Everybody was just kind of, standing around. Seemed like there was no plan whatsoever. Then they just said, if you're not leadership, go on that side. If you're leadership, go on the other side. Okay, who was leadership? Oh, that was Ethan and Biggs. He says that I'm also an Elks member. You ever watch the Flintstones? The Elks members are kind of guys with big hats. They have a president, a vice president, leadership, higher up. They're not telling us what to do. That's what I consider leadership. It's similar to that here. Once we separate, we start marching away from the Washington Monument. He says there was a chain link fence that they walked over it. So I had to go around it because he's in a wheelchair. He can't go over the chain link fence. He says, I don't know Washington, so I couldn't tell you where we were going, whether it was east, west, north, or south, whatever. He says, I'm going to play this video a little bit more for you. Who's this person here with the megaphone? He says, that's Ethan Nordine. Ethan Nordine on the video says, we're going to make our way to the Capitol next on his megaphone. Now the video is playing. It shows Block, who's in his wheelchair, filming on his scooter. He's in his motorized scooter now. Nordine is there, and he's on the megaphone. He says, go down to the Capitol and make a presence. So what was going on while you were there? He says, well, throughout this entire thing, I thought we were there. He said, the Proud Boys have a bad reputation, but I thought that we were going to hug people, kiss babies and show everybody that we're not the bad guys that everybody thinks we are. Show them that we're there to help. Did your group take photos, Eddie? Oh, yeah, multiple times. Yeah, even Joe Biggs said something like, let's look good. Take some pictures for the press. Saying that's mostly what I'm there for, right? Proud Boys take photos. Now, one time we were walking, he says, I had rented a scooter and it kept overheating from being on the grass. Now, Rufio noticed that I was behind. He stopped the whole entire group. He says, we got to stop for Eddie again. Everybody wait up. Then we got to the area with the stairs, and that stopped the entire group. So multiple carried my scooter down. What a nice group of guys. Eddie's got stairs, right? Obviously, this is not ADA accessible here. So we just pick up the scooter, carry him right up there. Now, aside from friendship, they wanted me to film it. When they said that we were going to make an announcement that we're going to make ourselves look good, that's when I started live streaming. So at some point, I was just recording ourselves, and then I turned it on. I looked at Nordine and someone and said, hey, do you want me to start live streaming? And they gave me the green light. So I started it up. He says, I have a YouTube channel. On January 6th, anyone who wants could watch it live on mine along. It was in the thousands watching. Thousands of people were watching. We were live streaming that day. Many people make money restreaming mine, and other people, so probably there were tens of thousands of watching. As the march proceeded, viewership went up. People like watching the action. Did Nordine ever say, hey, you shouldn't be live streaming. Don't live stream this? No. Now, I want to ask you about this other video. You're over here near the food trucks. Tell me about what's going on here. He says, well, I know we went to different sides of the Capitol. Then we went to the food trucks. We were hungry. Then we started walking toward the Capitol. Now, back on the video, there's a journalist asks something. Somebody's talking to Block. And Block responds. He says, well, the plan is to go back to the rally. The journalists ask, anything going on at the Capitol? And Block says, not really. Is that what you said, Eddie? You said not really? He says, well, I mean, that's what I was told the whole time we were marching. I heard Nordine say that multiple times. And how many times did you meet Nordine? About 2 or 3 times before this. Do you think Nordine was trying to mislead you? He was telling you that you weren't going to the Capitol, but you really were going to the Capitol? No, I don't think so. And the group wanted to be filmed, right? You guys were literally told to start live streaming, right? Yeah. So if he misled you, you wouldn't be able to have filmed him, right? Right. So you were making an effort to observe the behavior of Nordine and others. Is that true? You were watching them? Yeah, I guess you could say that. Well, you're a journalist. You're a filmmaker, right? So what's your point of making the films? He says, well, my goal is to show the real story, not what you're told on the news. And based on what you saw and what you observed that day, was the purpose of walking to the Capitol to attack Congress? No, sir. No. In doing the film, I've probably been to over 100 rallies across various countries. One time in Sacramento, we didn't do anything to the police. They were rude to me, but we were not there to start fights. And so your purpose also on January 6th was also not to interfere with the police. Is that right? No, sir. No, we were just there to get our voices heard. Did you get a sense that the leaders of the Proud Boys, others, wanted to fight law enforcement? No, sir. But there's been violence before at other prior rallies, haven't there? Yeah. And have you been at those? Yeah, I was. There was one in Portland in 2021 after January 6th. We also had the Summer of Love rally. Antifa found out, said, we're going to attack. When we found a new rally, Antifa found out. They drove a handicapped, disabled man into our rally, and 200 people came to attack us. Not sure on the translation on that one. Is a little far away from the mic. And did you guys fight with those people? Those 200 people from Antifa? He says, well, the Proud Boys only fight in defense. Are you guys generally worried about Antifa? Is this kind of an ongoing problem? Yeah, we're always worried about Antifa. Certain people have radios, and we have people scouting around so we can say Antifa's coming from the right, watch out. He said, I had that gut feeling that Antifa was around on January 6th. I sincerely believed I was worried about running into them. I've been attacked multiple times. I've been hit by chains by Antifa. I've been hit by water bottles by Antifa. You know who's been charged with a water bottle crime? In this case, the Proud Boys. Not any Antifas, though. I get threats at my house from Antifa. I'm afraid to go out anywhere because of Antifa. I'm sorry to hear that. Now, I want to draw your attention back to the food trucks here. What time was this? About 12:23? What are you saying here when you're at the food trucks? Block says, I better get out of here. You guys are talking stuff I don't want to hear. What did you mean by that? He says, well, I just figured deciding that where to go next. We're afraid of Antifa. We wouldn't want Antifa to know where we were going next. Antifa watches what I put on YouTube. They watch my channel. I have as many Antifa subscribers as I do Proud Boy subscribers. They watch our stuff so that they can learn about us. Now I want to play this video forward a little bit. It's a video of a motorcade turning onto Constitution Avenue. What's going on right here? He says, well, when that motorcade went by, my live stream went down. I thought it was President Trump going by. I was very surprised. No understanding why. Seeing the motorcade, it appeared he'd given a speech at the Capitol and we were headed in that direction. So I wonder if it took out the cell service on his live stream. That's interesting. I wonder how far away he was from that. He's live streaming to YouTube. Presidential motorcade goes by. All the cell data goes dead. I want to know how far away that was. So we headed in that direction to the Capitol. Now, I think we went to the Capitol after the motorcade. Personally, I don't know why we moved in that direction. We were just kind of following the action, I guess. So there's no plan? No, we were just kind of moving where everybody else was going. What was going on when you were at the food trucks? Well, at the food trucks, it was mostly just joking around. It seemed like nobody knew what was going on or going to happen or even where to go. So you would say that when you were there, the decision to move was kind of made on the fly. You just kind of decided, definitely. Did the group relocate to a traffic circle? If it's on video, we did. I'd have to see the footage. Oh, let me play it for you. Can you tell me what's going on here? He says, well, I don't remember it exactly, but I do hear my voice. In other words, the camera, the camera's probably like this. So he's filming outside away from him. You don't see him on the camera, but you can hear him. He says, I do remember a time when everyone kind of took off from me. From my scooter, I've got multiple cameras on me. I've got a GoPro on the front. I have a live stream camera that I can lift up with a handle like a selfie stick. My head is below the crowd. Now we see Nordine raise his fist up on the camera and say, ho, that means stop. He says, we're supposed to stop right there. Now there's another person in this video who's also raising his fist. You know who that is? He says, no, it's a little blurry. I can't tell who that is. He says, okay, but that's Nordine, right? Yeah. Is Nordine encouraging people to go forward, like into the Capitol? No, he's telling us to stop. So is that consistent with your understanding that the purpose of this march is basically a photo op by telling everybody to stop? He says, was it a part of the plan to go up right next to the Capitol on the steps? He says, well, I don't know because of my scooter. I thought we'd go to barriers, yes. Past barriers, no. So you understand that Nordine ultimately went past those barriers, right? Yeah, that's what I understand. I've seen some of the videos. He says, when the crowd moves forwards towards the Capitol and past the barricade, can you characterize that? What was the moment like when they moved from non-barricade past the barricade? He says, well, it went from joking around and jovial to chaos. Okay. It went from locker room talk to, I don't know, the crowd just started running. Nobody was in control at that time. One person starts running and everyone starts running. Did Nordine and Biggs shout fire to run? No, not in my opinion. But Biggs was holding a microphone, right? Megaphone. Yeah. He was shouting F Antifa, wasn't he? At some point during the day. In this video, there's people chanting 1776, 1776. Who was doing that? Well, only a few people were chanting it. It may have been us. I don't remember. We go back to the breach. He says, now what's going on here? Biggs seems to be looking in the direction of people yelling. He seems concerned. He's yelling, where's Antifa? Where's Antifa? Is that something to do with what's going on inside? Eddie Block responds. He says, well, everyone was saying, you've got to storm the Capitol. On social media, people were saying, we need to storm the Capitol. We need to storm the Capitol. Just the news is saying, people on Facebook saying, people should storm the Capitol. Normies were using it all the time. Okay, not even Proud Boys were saying it. So in the Proud Boys Telegram chats, you were involved in those? Yeah. Did you see any references to any plan at all to storm the Capitol? See anything there? No. But you did see in social media references that phrase, right? Yeah. When Biggs, one of the Proud Boys, was chanting, "Where's Antifa?" Is that a reference to what's going on inside the Capitol building? Now, many Proud Boys, no answer on that one. Many Proud Boys had heard and had fear of Antifa. Is that true? Yeah. So when you heard Biggs chanting, "Where's Antifa?" did you understand that to be a reference to what's going on inside the Capitol? Where's Antifa? Could that be inside the Capitol? Well, I didn't understand anything about that. You know, we chant that quite often. I didn't have to do with what was going on. Anything going on inside the Capitol. When I say fear, we're not afraid of Antifa, okay? We're afraid they're going to attack the public and hurt the public, clarifying that. Did you understand that was going to be a reference to what's going on inside the Capitol? I didn't understand anything about that. We chant that quite often. Where's Antifa? Didn't have to do with what was going on. They play another part of the video. Biggs is finishing the chanting. The crowd is static. Ryan Samsel, who we've seen a lot of here on this channel, puts his arm around Biggs and whispers in his ear. And Ryan Samsel was the guy in the red hat right next to Ray Epps. And we saw him in many of these videos. Just trying to grab a quick photo of him. This guy right around the first breach. You remember him in the red hat. He flipped his hat backwards and I think took his jacket off. So they say, did you observe any causation between Samsel putting his arm around Biggs and the crowd later surging over the barricade? Did you see anything there? Well, I don't know what was said, said Eddie. People come up to us all the time, multiple reasons. Sometimes they'll say, hey, Eddie, Antifa's over there. Or, hey, we appreciate you. Or, hey, guys, over there. Why would someone go up to Biggs? Well, he's Joe Biggs. I mean, who wanted to go up to him? We're Christians. We're conservatives. He was awarded the Purple Heart. I'm honored to know Joe Biggs. Of course I'd want to meet him. He's a hero. Because he's Joe Biggs, who wouldn't want to go up to him? Now, Eddie, have some people in the public recently made very mean comments to you? Jerks. Yes. Does it relate to film you've made on January 6th? Yes. Some Proud Boys? Yeah. Some are upset I filmed that day. They thought I was doxing people. Where somebody doesn't want their face or name to be shown. Oh, so these are Proud Boys, and they're accusing you of harming the Proud Boys by filming them. Is that right? Yeah. Do you agree with that? Sometimes, maybe. I mean, when you see somebody every day and you call them John, then you see them, you call them John. I try not to call people by real names, but sometimes I do. So did Nordine and Rufio ever suggest that you were trying to dox him? No. Has anyone accused you of being an informant for the government? Yeah, it's all over the internet, including the Proud Boys. That's not true. Playing a different video. What's going on here? Well, the crowd's getting bigger and bigger. We're getting closer to the Capitol. He said, we had a pretty big group starting crowd of Proud Boys. Was there a large number of people who weren't Proud Boys? He says, oh, yeah. There were tons of normies, hundreds, maybe thousands. I'm not sure. Did you see Nordine say, that we've got to bring thousands of normies to that spot? Did he lead the thousands of normies? No, not at all. Did you hear somebody say, "Where's Antifa?" He says, "Well, I just heard USA, USA. I do hear it now." Who's that person over there with a microphone? Is that a Proud Boy? No. Do you know who that person is? No. Do you see that person pointing towards the Capitol? Yeah, I do. Huh. Somebody else with a megaphone is shouting and pointing towards the Capitol. But the Proud Boys were not. Somebody else was who's not a Proud Boy. Yeah, he's pointing at the Capitol like he's trying to tell people to inaudible. What was coming out on this video? He says, I would say the chant on this one is coming from the front of the camera, not from behind the camera. There's some sound playing. Whose house? Our house is what's being said. Whose house? Our house. Whose house? Our house. Where's that chant coming from? I would say that chant is probably coming from the front of the camera. Now, Biggs is chanting. And it probably sounds a lot different in the courtroom, right? In other words, the person with the other megaphone is the person shouting, whose house? Our house. Whereas Biggs is the person saying, ho, stop. Now, here's another issue we have with this. And Smith says, hold on a minute, didn't ask a question. Who are these people closer to the police line right here on this image? All these people really close to the police. Are these people Proud Boys? He says, well, I assume not. We were told to stay behind Rufio and Big, so if they're in front, I assume that they're not Proud Boys. Now we see Ryan Samsel and another person walking past an unmanned bike rack and toward a manned bike rack. Now there's a different image of Ryan Samsel putting his arm around Biggs. He says, is that person a Proud Boys member? It doesn't appear so. Hard to remember, but I don't see that outfit on the march. Smith is now drawing around to the other megaphone person, the non-Proud Boy. What's he doing? He says, well, it looked like the one guy tapped the guy with the megaphone on the head before walking up. And in the Telegram chats, did people use language that sounds explosive when you're in there? Before I get there, Smith now drawing attention to the non-Proud Boy inciting, saying it looked like one guy tapped the guy with the megaphone on the head before walking up. So we want to know who the non-Proud Boy megaphone guy was and whether he was a Fed. Now, in the Telegram chats, Eddie, do people often use language in there that can sometimes sound explosive? Yeah. Use language that sometimes sounds like they want to use violence? Yeah. 99% of the time, people are all talk. They like to act tough. They're trying to act tough so people won't mess with you. And when you speak to people, Eddie, and they use violent language like that, do you think that the person using the violent language uses it because anonymity of being online changes the way that people speak? Objection, calls for speculation, sustained. Based on your observations, did you not understand the purpose of the march to be to invade the Capitol building? No way I would have gotten that impression. You did not understand the purpose of the march would be to invade the Capitol building. No. And it was not to have you attack the police? You didn't want to go invade the Capitol? No. And you didn't intend to attack the police? That wasn't the plan? No. No further questions. Judge gives everybody a 15-minute break. They come back. We fast forward right through it. Jury's back in and seated. Carmen Hernandez is up. She is the defense attorney for Zach Rehl. Now going to be asking some questions. Someone now is taking the real good boy Donnie outside for a walk, getting him a little breather. Judge Kelly says, okay, Carmen Hernandez, you're up. All right, Mr. Block, I'd like to show you a video from Peace Circle. You see this here? Can you tell me about this man with this megaphone at Peace Circle? The man is in black and has a black megaphone. Can you make out what he's saying, Eddie? No, not really. You recall that guy at all? No. Did you see my client Zachary Rehl using or carrying any weapons? No. Did you see him carrying any flagpoles, any flex cuffs? Bear spray? Did you see him turn over any bike racks, any fences? Did he help anyone knock over any fences? Did he disturb any scaffolding? Did he throw water bottles? Did you see him throw projectiles? Did he push, hit, or spit on any law enforcement officer? Or did he help anyone do any of those things, including taking away any police equipment, shields, batons? Did he help do any one of those things ever that you saw at all of your videography at all? No, 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 and no. What did he ask you? Well, every once in a while, he'd help me. He'd ask if I was okay, if I needed any help. No further questions. Government prosecutors up now. Says, so Eddie, you're a 4th degree Proud Boy. Is that true? Yeah. Joined 2019 and you're a member of the Fresno group. Yeah. But you're not in the Ministry of Self-Defense chat, are you? Well, I'm in so many that I can't recall. You're not in the boots on the ground chat, right? Sounds familiar, but I can't be sure. You were in the DC street sweeper chat, right? Not sure. So if you're not in the MOSD chat, you weren't in the MOSD leaders chat, right? Yeah. And you're not very close with Enrique Tarrio. I had his phone number and I talked with him. Prosecutor is trying to create some distance, trying to convey that Eddie was just too lowly. He wasn't the real Proud Boys. He wasn't a part of those leader chats where the real insurrection was being plotted. He was just an ordinary street sweeper chat, but not the MOSD leadership. So what does he know about their planned insurrection? Defense objects beyond the scope, sidebar. Okay, but you've texted with Enrique Tarrio. Is that true? Yeah. You weren't close? Well, we weren't best friends. You thought that he thought that you were beneath him, didn't you? Objection. Overruled. Well, he was the chairman, so of course I thought I was beneath him. But you thought that he thought you were beneath him, right? Objection. Overruled. It's hard to say. I mean, Enrique is the chairman. It's hard to say if he thought that. You thought Enrique thought he was too good for you, don't you? No. You don't remember telling the FBI that? I may have. Well, you did. Let me show you this document. Remember this? It's an FBI interview with Eddie Block. Does this refresh your memory there, Eddie? Apparently, Eddie told the FBI that he was not too close with Tarrio and that Tarrio thought he was too good for him. Yeah, I said that there. To be a chairman, you have to think you're better than other people. I mean, that's just the way it is. He's the leader of the group. And so you attended these rallies just to film. Was that it? Well, and to be with friends. And you went to the Ellipse first? Yeah. You didn't see any Proud Boys there? I'm not sure. How about before 9:45? You didn't know the Proud Boys were meeting at the Washington Monument? Well, it was around that time. And the real good boy, Donnie, is being brought back into court and to the witness stand. Jurors are like, oh gosh, we love you. Finally. Something interesting here. Says, so on January 5th, Nordine didn't say, come film us. Correct. And Tarrio didn't tell you, and Biggs didn't tell you, and Rehl didn't tell you to do any of that. No, they didn't tell me. They knew I would be there. Until 9:45 a.m. You didn't know where they would be, though, right? And you made some documentaries, yeah, for some local California station, yeah. You testified that you don't get paid, yeah. And you put your films on YouTube, yeah. And on your channel, you seek out donations on Venmo and stuff, right? Yeah, I've got links. But I'm known as someone who doesn't seek out. I mean, I don't beg for money. But if someone wants to donate money, that's fine. But I average like, $40 a month or something. Now, one way you could make more money is by getting your name out there, isn't it? Prosecutor. Yeah. Nothing wrong with this, but you want to grow your audience. Yeah, sure. You set up a Give, Send, Go donation site. Yeah. You said that if you got $1,000, you'd put the dog in a Donald J. Trump vest. He says, yeah, his name is Donald J. Trump. Now, you put out a live stream from inside the court yesterday, didn't you? Yeah. With a link to one of your Venmo Cash App sites. Yeah. You plan to film the Proud Boys on January 6th? Yeah. You'd been here December 2020? Yeah, on December 12th. You've been to prior rallies in Portland and Fresno? Yeah. Probably over 100 of them. Now, at those rallies, Biggs and Tario and Nordine, they're running the show, aren't they? Well, he says, I've only been to 2 rallies before J6 where they were present. One was in Portland, one was in December in DC. But you testified about what happened in Portland. You weren't testifying from personal knowledge then, were you? No, I was not present. For some of the details he testified about, he says, I was present for the rally. I was in a Kmart parking lot, a big parking lot. Prosecutors now showing him a video. He's in the parking lot, showing the parking lot. Says, we're seeing a man with a Proud Boy insignia on his vest approaching a van with what looks like a gun of some sort. It's a van marked ambulance. Proud Boys firing projectiles and spraying chemicals into the van. Van rolls off the road into the woods. So it sounds like this van is just being, something's going on to the van, like shot at with projectiles. I don't know what projectiles these are. Fireworks or something? Weird. He says that was in defense? That's what I was told. How did that van even get there? Well, the purpose of the van was to come and attack us. He was there to do something. You're making it look like we did something to those people. I saw the man pull into there with a can of mace. What are we supposed to do? You don't start fights? Right. We were finishing it. That's out of context. Prosecutor says, on January 6th, some Proud Boys told you that they were at the Washington Monument, but Nordine, Rehl, and Biggs didn't. Is that true? Yeah. Now I'm showing you this video from that scene. You said that no one seemed to know what was happening. Is that what you said? Yeah. I want to play you this video. Nordine was just organizing the front line. Is that what you see? Yeah. Leaders go to one side, members go to another. Is that true? Yeah. So whatever chaos was happening, Nordine was trying to control it. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah. Now you hear Nordine say, give me 2 guys up front. He said, well, I was listening to myself. You didn't want any of the fake media around? True. You view yourself as the real media? Yeah. You're a Proud Boy, so you can be trusted. He says, well, I live stream, so I don't cut and edit. Shout out to fellow Eddie live streamer. It's true, baby. It's real. It's raw. They play more video. Biggs is talking about making DC our city, I think. Not good audio in the media room. So they say, all right, Eddie, you were marching towards the Capitol in this video. Is that right? Well, I don't really know the city. Can you see the Capitol in the background? Yeah, I see it. There's a lot of open space on that grassy area in front of you then, right? Yeah. And you weren't trying to hide your location at that point, were you? No. Weren't you saying that we need to worry about Antifa? Well, not at that time. Nordine just said that had one of our guys got stabbed last time. He just said that, right? Yeah. And that stabbing left people upset? Yeah. You were ready to take somebody's head out over it, weren't you? Well, I may have said that in anger. You know, I don't know. Huge difference between what somebody says and what somebody does. You concocted a plan where you'd lure Antifa and the Proud Boys could ambush them, didn't you? Well, I mentioned that, but nobody took on to it. Well, you did mention it, and I want to show you your Telegram message here too. And puts up the Telegram message. Eddie apparently said, I say we let me be the sacrificial lamb next time. I'll sneak in, get their attention on me, then every MFer rush in. Don't F with my brothers like that. Prosecutor says, and you said no one took you up on that suggestion? But you were pushing that plan, weren't you? He says, yeah, I was mad. And here's another message they said. I still think we should use me on the 20th. I'm an easy target and I'm on their watch list. Scout out a location with hiding spots. Then follow the live stream so I'll go live and, oh shoot, they left me and my scooter. So he's going to set them up on their live streams. And when they come back and attack me, he says, we jump them. More messages, different permutations of this plan. Block says, I don't understand why I would say that's a good idea. Must be something missing in these chats. Oh, I'm sorry. Then I was responding to what that guy said. Block says, back to the prosecutor. You've never said anything in a rage of anger and then 10 minutes later forgotten all about it? Judge says, okay, that's it. We're now excusing the jury and the witness till tomorrow at 9 a.m. Early day, half day. Attorneys, stay. Everybody else, you're excused. Now, the jurors check out the dog as they walk past the witness stand, who's a real good boy and, you know, always useful to have in court. So we're happy about that. Now, we've got the end, apparently now excusing everyone. I think attorneys are reconvening at 3 p.m. Not positive what that's about, but I will not be able to cover that. Hope to see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Now, something very interesting that I also saw, because it started at 3 p.m., so we sort of were catching up on that. But Julie Kelly shared this. Says at least 10 FBI informants were embedded in the Proud Boys. Judge Kelly is forcing the defense to clear any questions to or about informants with the government. Now, this came over from Kyle Cheney. He's at Politico. He says, happening now, the Proud Boys attorneys are debating with the judge and the government about how they might present information about confidential human sources. DOJ notes that they're prepared to make nearly 10 confidential human sources available to testify if the defense calls them. Do you hear that? 10. Do you know how many Proud Boys are on trial right now? 5. Didn't I say yesterday that it could be a 2-to-1 ratio of CHSs to Proud Boys or feds to Proud Boys? It's literally 10 to 5. So DOJ has concerns that the defense doesn't want to call the CHSs, but will instead call their FBI handlers. These FBI handlers, who apparently had so many informants that they should have known everything that was going on in the Proud Boys, and they still let this happen. They still let the building be ransacked. Very, very interesting. So all of these confidential human sources, potentially exposing their sources and methods, they say, so they don't want to talk about that. So they're going to need to discuss this further. So we'll see what the court decides on that today. We covered a lot of ground, and we have some major shout outs to Eddie Block and his real good boy, Donald J. Trump, who was testifying in court today. Now, we'll take a look at the docket tomorrow and see what else we've got in store. But that, my friends, is it for us on the day. We covered a lot of ground. Proud Boys trial, day 41. Tomorrow, we'll see if there's anything more on the Trump indictment watch. And it's going to be a busy week, a busy week indeed. But thank you, my friends, for being here and joining us. Thank you for subscribing for wherever it is you're watching this. Now it is time to hear from you and to say hello to our friends out there in the chat. And shout out to Eddie. Make sure you're going over to his channel and saying hello to him. We're doing a refresh on the YouTubes, and let's see who is in the house this beautiful day. We had a couple come in. Hey, look who's in the house. We had Total Destiny. Says, thank you for your amazing show. What a fantastic teacher you are. Oh, Total Destiny. That's so nice of you. Says, love all that info is backed up with docs and videos. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Total Destiny. I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, try to share the documents so we can just see what it is. I get so irritated with all the copy and pasting out there all over the news. We try to see what's actually going on out there. So thanks for being here, Destiny, and thank you for the support. Jason Jackson says, what did Jim Jordan mean by novel untested legal theory? Isn't it textbook campaign finance law? What do you think he was getting at? Yeah, that's a good question, actually. Let's take a look at that. Because he did say that, right? I was wondering if he was referencing a footnote. Unusual because I've decided not to. I was looking at the footnotes. Jonathan Turley over at the Hill, hush payments, witness credibility. I was just trying to see what he was referencing specifically. Reportedly, a problem you've reportedly recognized. I don't know exactly what he's referencing here. It's got to be in one of the footnotes somewhere what he's specifically talking about. I think what he's doing is he's explaining that the prosecutor is twisting himself into a pretzel to try to make it work. That is the novel, untested legal theory. It's like it's never been done before. He's trying to turn a misdemeanor into a felony. He's trying to create a case where there isn't one. So the way that I like to explain this is by sort of using a real estate analogy. You know, real estate, when you buy a house, you look at comps, right? What is one house? Is it comparable to another one? Does it have a pool? This one has a garage. This one has 4 bedrooms. This one has 3 bedrooms. Same thing with the case. You look at different cases and you say, how many other fictitious business record charges have been similar to this one? Probably 0, which is why this is a new untested legal theory that's never been brought before. But I would take a deeper dive and look at the footnotes because he was pulling from a bunch of stuff. We just fast forwarded through them. But thanks, Jason, for being here. This one, It's a Hoax, says, how does one even get an indictment with such an impeachable witness? It feels like a fourth quarter Hail Mary with no wide receivers. New York, man, I don't know what else to say. I think it's just them. You know, 80%, I think, voted against Trump. Everybody there is sort of in on it. They want it. They want to find a way to indict him. So they're in search of a mission. You know, it's a hammer in search of a nail, and they're doing it. But this same case has already been rejected by other prosecutors, by the FEC, by the DOJ, but not Alvin Bragg, not Tishy Latish James. They want this one big time. Fred Pedamonte is here. He says, Rob, Johnny said, I bought a burner phone. Oh, great. Johnny's responsible for the courthouse threats. Great. This is a joke, FBI, everybody out there. Don't go raid Fred's house, okay? This is a gag. This is a gag on the show. Don't raid Fred Pedamonte. This is a joke of this comment I'm about to read. Rob, Johnny said I bought the burner phone that I called the courthouse with. I was mad. What they're doing to my DOJ. They know I can't drive yet. So that's the thing. If Fred's dog, Johnny, is like, hey, I'm not even in session yet. I'm not even over there. So Fred, you're going to have to put Johnny in a little, does he ride in a pet carrier? Or he probably has his own private jet, right? He probably has, probably stole Epstein's jet. And he can't drive. That's probably fine. He's probably got pilots, during his uranium transactions. Man. So he's in control of the DOJ, but who's in control of a lot of other things is Jake Sullivan. We haven't heard from him in a while. In fact, he owns most of the show, he told us. We'll see. James Cutbirth is here. Good to see you, Fred. Thank you. James says, hey, hit the like button. Rob's mom needs an operation and can't get it unless Rob gets 1,000 likes. Uh-oh. Is that true? Mom? Mom, are you okay? Hey, hold on. I got to check on this one. Is she in surgery right now? I didn't even know this was going on. I had no idea. I hope she's okay. Hopefully those 1,000 likes will get her across the finish line. Thanks, James, for supporting us. And hopefully mom's okay. I'll check with her after the show. Doug Murray is here, says, Rob, I didn't know that the New York District Attorney's Office was also Trump's re-election headquarters. I didn't know that either. And you're right. It's probably unofficial. If Trump gets indicted and he has a mugshot and handcuffs placed on him, I know how we all feel about elections here, but I mean, wouldn't that actually cause a red wave such that it could overcome even any of our questionable elections? Eddie Oliver is in the house. What's up, Eddie? He says, hey, there is only one Eddie allowed on this channel, and his name is Eddie Oliver, not Eddie Block. Also, Alvin Bragg is sus. Bet he's from AZ. Oh gosh, Eddie Oliver. You know, when I was saying Eddie Block, I almost one time said Eddie Oliver because that's my default name, Eddie. You're right. You know, there has only been one Eddie today on this channel, but Eddie Block made a nice appearance. He's got his own YouTube channel, by the way. So, you know, you can go follow him over there. But Alvin Bragg is definitely sus. He's more sus than Arizona even. He's not from Arizona. We have some sus stuff going on here. Not that sus. Cut us a little slack. Hope Horizon says Eddie Block Films and Donnie are watching. Good to see you, Hope Horizon. And they may watch this. And so shout out to Eddie. Shout out to Donnie. Hopefully you guys had a great day and safe travels. And you are breathing a sigh of relief, having been through the process. All of the anxiety, all of the angst that builds up as you have to go into court. Hopefully that is slowly subsiding, Eddie, and that you and Donnie are relaxing a bit now. God Rides a Harley is here. Says, when was the last insurrection with tour guides? I'll wait. I don't know. I don't know. When I think of insurrection, I think of trying to steal a country, you know, take over the country. They didn't bring any guns. They took a podium and they got the country back in 4 hours and they voted that same night. Amazing. 3/22/2023 equals 3222223 equals 322 equals skull and crossbones. Oh, great. That came in from Diamond Gun. That's tomorrow, huh? 3/22/2023 equals 322 equals 322. I'll have to look at that numerology. Very interesting there. They're trying to indict Trump on a numerologically significant day. How dare they? Hey, we had a couple others. We did a refresh. Zulu's here. Zulu says Dolphin fan gifted 10 memberships. Oh my gosh, Dolphin fan, thank you for that. And Zulu gifted 5 memberships. Wait a minute. Holy moly. Thank you, everybody. So Zulu gifted 5 memberships. Dolphin fan gifted 10 memberships. The chat was very lively today, so I couldn't even keep track of what was happening. So thank you, everybody, for that. And Zulu, thank you for the reminder. I would have totally missed that. But Dolphin fan gifted 10. Zulu gifted 5. Which means, my friends, if you are a member, you can join, and don't forget to join the Telegram link. So all of the new members on YouTube, everybody who just got gifted a membership, courtesy of Dolphin Fan, courtesy of Zulu, welcome. Don't forget to grab the Telegram link, because when we're done here, we're not actually done with the show. We're going to continue on. We do a debrief. We do a members-only segment. And so come and join us. Thank you, Zulu. Thank you, Dolphin Fan, for getting everybody over and in. And also, our new members, we're going to do another live stream tomorrow morning. We hit the headlines bright and early to see what's going on out there in the news. And so don't forget to join us for there as well. Yeah, and everybody's saying thank you for those donos. So really, thank you, Zulu. Thank you, Dolphin. It's working. You guys are helping our communities grow. Our morning streams are a little bit more lively. We're grateful for it. And Curtis Bartle also sent one in. Thank you, Curtis. No question on this one, but it's a sticker, and it looks like, I wish these were bigger. Oh yeah, but it looks like this dude is on maybe a SpaceX rocket, zipping all over the place. Thank you very much, Curtis. That's a very nice one. I appreciate you being here, my man. Been around for a long time, and you're always very supportive. Thank you. And Ty says, Eddie and Donnie are enjoying your valuable recaps. Well, thanks, guys. And shout out again to Eddie and Donnie and to Ty and to everybody else, Hope Horizon, and everybody who supported us today. Very generous day today. Thank you very much for it. I appreciate that all. It wouldn't be possible without you guys. You know, this is what I'm doing full time now. And so I very, very much appreciate all of your support. Let's also say hello to our friends on Rumble. I think we got that stream working, which is great news. Who's over there on the Rumbles? I thought we fixed it. Uh-oh. Yeah. Rumble, I was having some struggles with Rumble. Rumble is messed up. It was working on the other chat. Did it die out again? Well, I can't tell. Fixing it, unfixed it. So Jacob Castro's over there. Beth's over there. V's over there. NC Native, though, is over there. I'm not sure what was going on. I think it was a Rumble issue. Hopefully it's not a me issue. Anyways, okay, so those are our friends over on Rumble. Let's check out what's happening on Twitter before we jump over to our after party and our members only debrief. First one from Twitter, which is where we've got 6 viewers. Woo! That's out of control. We're almost at 10, which means the internet might come crashing down. Oh my gosh, and this is just great. So shout out to V. Says, I don't know who said Rumble wasn't working, but it was working until you fixed it. But hey, you got some Twitter viewers out of it. It was working and then I broke it? Great. Thanks, V. Hey, so here's who got new memberships. Da Freak, Hope Arising, Adam M, Joshua G, Charles R, Valerie, Steve, Rye, Al, Tech Zombie, all courtesy of Dolphin Fan. Thank you, Dolphin. And Zulu gifted us One Nation Underground, Nick J, Patty P, Kelly's in the house, and Itchy, well, you can read the rest of that and fill in the blank. Welcome to our new community. We're glad that you're here. Hopefully you got that fixed, got that taken care of. Paul Mino is here saying happy Tuesday. That's kind of how I feel some Tuesdays. Although that guy's kind of like Jell-O. That's pretty impressive. Thank you, Paul. Good to see you, Paul. James Pepper says that the statute of limitations has already expired. Here is the statute of limitations. Is that also for the felonies? For the felony, they have to. This is, yeah, Class E felonies. I can't see what this is. Anyways, those look like good details. Thank you for that. Dapper Dan says, can you believe it? We got away with Uranium One and everything else, but what takes out Trump? A payment, non-disclosure payment. Danny McWilliams, Salt Farmers in the house, sharing some more stuff. Connie's over there. What's up? Connie says, thanks for adding humor to this crazy. We're trying to have some fun. We're going to get through it. All's going to be well. We're going to continue to cover it. These people are idiots, and it's going to be fun to cover. All right. And so that, my friends, is it for us on the day. We are going to leave it there. And of course, we'll come back tomorrow to do it all again. Before we wrap it up and head on over to our after party, I want to invite you to come and join us. We do extra members only content, morning live streams. We have a great community. People share stories, and we stay connected before and after the show ends at watchingthewatchers.locals.com or on YouTube. If you join, don't forget to join the private Telegram group where the chat goes on and on and on. Also, don't forget to check out our friends over at fieldofgreens.com, where you can get your daily servings of fruits and vegetables. When you go there, check out with code Robert so you can save 15%. And don't forget, the vegetables want to be eaten. They love it. Also, my former law firm, the R&R Law Group, they're helping good people charged with crimes all throughout the state of Arizona. So if you know anybody who needs help, 480-787-0394 is the law firm to call, and they'll take very good care of you. Also want to shout out our mods and our meme smiths who mod down the fort for us and keep things nice and orderly. Shout outs go to Vienticus Prime, K Bean, Just Cause, Playing Hookies in the chat, Ronnie Cole, our friend Zulu, Geomancy, Zach Nichols, John Allen, who help keep things nice and orderly. And we want to shout out Sleepy Dog Lee on Twitter and Geegum Geegum, our meme smiths. But that, my friends, is it for us on the day. We will come back here tomorrow morning for our members and tomorrow evening for everybody else. And I hope to see you here so that together with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Have yourselves a tremendous evening, my friends. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.